still was aware that there was a vacuum. Because he had all of that. He had all of the wealth. And yet he came to meet Jesus and asked him what he must do to inherit eternal life. So in spite of the wealth he had, he knew that there was still a vacuum in his life, in his soul, that was yet to be filled. So when you talk about that's which many young people pursue, run after, irrespective of their passions, irrespective of the things that they run after, there is still a vacuum inside every one of them that only the power of Jesus Christ can fill. That was what happened to the rich young man. He knew that there was a vacuum, and as such he came. Of course, in spite of the fact that he left sorrowful because he couldn't, but he knew there was something that was still amiss. So many young people out there know, irrespective of their rebellion, irrespective of their they are into they are being deep into the different things they are into, they know. That is why it's important that the church become very serious about demonstrating God's power. The power of God must be. Now, when you talk about the demonstration of God's power, all right, of course, it includes and much more. Of course, it includes the healing of the sick. It includes the raising of the dead. It includes the setting the captives free. But much more, it includes a tangible manifestation of God's power that fills a man's soul. That place of the manifestation of God's power that causes every other thing young people pursue, to become insignificant. When young people encounter such a demonstration, or when they come into such an atmosphere that is charged with God's power and presence, they will leave every other thing and cling to that.
Please, can you build up on that issue? I was sharing with somebody a while ago, when looking at a few minutes ago, Psalm 24, when the Bible said, who shall ascend to the hill of the Lord? And they said, he that hath pure hands
and pure heart,
and does not raise his heart with vanity. Now I'm now looking at that area of vanity. Now, sometimes if you not tell me that what I'm raising my heart to is vanity, now I don't know how looking at the way things are run in this generation, things people look at, even when you go to the church to where they tell them is okay, you see, this is your blessings coming to you and this and that, and they feel some of these things are happening. Now, if they see that this thing is fulfilling to them, how would they now really exchange it? How would they see it as a vanity now?
Now, the thing is this. Every human being,
yes, sir,
are spirit beings.
Yes, sir.
For a while, a man's heart can be filled with vanity.
For a while. Yes, sir.
But in spite of that, he or she will always be conscious that something is missing, because he's a spirit being. For example, that is the reason why man is naturally an idolater. Man naturally, all right, by nature, all right, practices idolatry.
That is by the fallen nature.
Yes, because as a result of the fall, he's an idolater by reason of the fall. So that thing that constitutes idolatry is because of that vacuum in man that desires God, that vacuum in man that desires the supernatural, that vacuum in man that desires the tangible presence of something higher, something superior, something that is supernatural. So it doesn't matter what the man fills his heart, it doesn't matter what the man clocks and floods his soul with, he will always be conscious. He will always be conscious of that vacuum. So it doesn't matter for how long it's been that he's been in that state, but whenever he comes in contact with God's power, all right, it will not be difficult to let go of the vanities. Letting go of vanity becomes difficult when all we are doing is all talk and there is no life. When all we are presenting is all, theories, and there is no practicality to it. When man sees or encounters the practicality of the presence of God, he will drop his vanity. He will drop his vanity. Now when you look through the scriptures, for example, that was how Jesus functioned. All right, the people. Now take for example when the armies, the soldier, the captain and the soldiers were sent to go and arrest Jesus. They came, and when they heard words charged with power and presence, they forgot what they were sent to come and do, and went back to those who sent them and went there to tell them that no one speaks like that man. That is the power of presence. That is the power of spirituality that manifests God's power, God's presence. Man will know when he encounters it. Man will know when he experiences it. He will know.
So in essence, if somebody now come to that experience, but it's like in this immersion now, the program we're going, one of the whole essence is that you to be brought to that kind of experience. Now let's take it out. They now come to that experience. Now, how do we bring that experience? The word of God said that the knowledge of the Lord will fill the earth as water covers the sea. Now, how will this person who have come to this experience be able to be a carrier of that knowledge, that life, so they can spread it? Because there's something you spread. It's either you carry this life, they spread, or they carry data and spread. You have noticed that many of these youth, when they go after, they have an idol. If you look at their idol, either it's a musician, either it's an actor, either it's this one or that one. Yes, sir. There's a man of business, and they carry all these things and they spread it. When this one carry it, he spread it, and the others begin to, without even knowing with the root cause, like this sagging and all that. So what will that person have to come into? What will this youth that comes to immersion will have to come into? How, at what level, at what stage will he come to that ability such that if he now goes from that mission, you'll be able to spread that kind of knowledge and that life?
I believe.
So like contagious. Not between the world to be life. That's a spirit.
And I believe when we are to reach young people,
Yes, sir.
I believe one of the major keys to bring them to a place of encounter.
All right, sir.
You see, the ministers are reaching out. All right, the ministers who are ministering, young people must endeavor to intentionally smash them with the glory of God. The glory of God can be communicated, all right, in partnership with the will of the minister. A minister can will to minister the glory of God. Now, when young people are smashed with the glory of God, all right, you need not worry too much about how they will be able to carry that glory from there on. Because the heart of every human person, all right, is hungry for glory, though they may not know what it is they are hungry for. But when they encounter the glory of the person of God, they know that they've encountered God's glory. Now, once that happens, when a man encounters what his heart has been longing for, he will do all that it will take to sustain it. Now, it is when they've not been brought into an encounter with the substance and power of the glory of God that you can begin to wonder how you're going to man. Of course, discipleship will come in at the end of the day, but when people encounter the true glory of God, they are ready to give anything to retain it. They are ready to give anything to keep it. For example, for me as a person, my walk with God began when I was between the age of 12 and 13. That was when I had my first encounter with the power of the Holy Spirit. Now, after I encountered the Holy Spirit, or before I encountered the Holy Spirit, I was crying. I was shut up in tears, crying. I wanted, that was not when I got saved. I grew up in a Christian home. My dad was a minister, but I was hungry. There was a craving beyond measure. There was a hunger, that at that point I came to a point where nothing else could fill it. Now, as soon as I had my first encounter with the Holy Spirit, that was, for a start, all I needed. At that point, after that encounter, every relationship that was contrary to the power of the Holy Spirit began to die natural death. I was ready to let them go at the expense of my encounter with the power of the Holy Spirit. I didn't need too much discipline in regards to, being able to sustain what I'd received. I gave it all. You see, after that first encounter, the first fasting and prayer I ever did, nobody told me. The first fasting and prayer I ever did at that age was a 2 weeks fast, no water, no food. Nobody told me to fast. I was hungry. Many times my dad would come into the room where I was and would meet me crying. And what are you crying for? You are praying. I was hungry. Why? Something smashed me. Something met me. And I gave everything to keep that thing. Of course, that thing was the person of the Holy Spirit. That thing was the person of Jesus. That thing was the power and the glory of God. So when young people, experience God's power, every other thing will naturally fade away. So a lot of times, while we are, bothering ourselves about shaping them into good behaviors, while we are bothering about shaping them to be of good behavior, to have good character, what we should bother about is the glory of God. When young people encounter God's glory, the bad behaviors will fade off. The addictions will break away. Those wrong, addictions, those wrong appetites will naturally evaporate. That's what the church needs. And because for most part, the church is not doing that. That's why, the church has one of its challenge with young people. All right? Many local assemblies are finding difficult, to retain, to disciple their young people. And it's basically because they are not introducing them to the power of the Holy Spirit. They are not showing them the power of the Holy Spirit.
Please, I just have one more question. Okay. Now, I have a concern, for instance, about those young people that might have certain traumatic experiences that they are bringing, you understand, to the meetings. Now, how will this kind of experience be managed by the ministers now, and from there forward to ensure that there is a true healing? Because people are coming from different backgrounds, and some people might have experienced some bastardizations, some brutalities, and that maybe want to shut them out from this true experience. They may just come and close up. How will this? Is this still the same pattern you're talking about?
Yes. You see, one thing about the glory of God is this: nobody can shut himself up to the glory of God. When we encounter, you see, like I said, because man is a spirit being, whether he's a man that is still a child, a man that is a girl, or a man is a spirit being. And whenever man, all right, comes into close proximity with the glory of God, he will resonate. He will resonate. Now, for people who will be coming with traumatic experiences, backgrounds and all of that, if they are introduced to God's power, that's why the ministers will be ministering. Their focus, all right, the time spent in prayer, the labors through fasting in preparation for the meeting, should be focused on, stirring up God's power, on trusting into God's power, with an expectation to have the power and the glory of God manifest during the meeting. Whether it's going to be through teaching, whether it's going to be through laying on of hands, whether it's going to be through worship, the focus should be to activate God's glory. Now, once the glory and power of God, once the love of Jesus Christ becomes activated, it doesn't matter how terrible the trauma is, the shackles and bondage will break. The hold of Satan would break naturally before and in the presence. The glory of God naturally should shatter. So the focus shouldn't be how to manage people with traumatic experience. The focus should be to activate and unlock the glory of God.